Duffy has gone on record saying that California is slow walking the enforcement of federal laws. He has accused the state of knowingly issuing licenses to dangerous foreign drivers. And we are watching a systematic dismantling of the ghost carrier network. The South, closed. The East Coast, specifically New York, under audit. The West Coast, California, under federal raid. There is nowhere left to hide. People think, oh, California police can't arrest me for immigration. That is true. The Fontana police might not arrest you for it, but Operation Highway Sentinel wasn't the Fontana police. It was HSI, Homeland Security Investigations and Border Patrol. Governor Gavin Newsom has spent years protecting these drivers. He calls it protecting the workforce. He said these drivers are essential to the economy. But Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy isn't buying it. I've been tracking the trucking purge across the South for weeks. We watched Mississippi arrest 85 drivers. We watched Alabama set up checkpoints on I-20. And the whole time, the skeptics in the comments said the same thing. That will never happen in California. California is a sanctuary state. Gavin Newsom won't let ICE touch the trucks. Well, I hope you are sitting down because the federal government just called California's bluff. Breaking news out of Sacramento confirms that federal agents have launched a massive coordinated sweep in Southern California dubbed Operation Highway Sentinel. They didn't ask for permission. They didn't ask the CHP for help. They went straight to the choke points in the Inland Empire and Indio. And the results? 87 commercial truck drivers arrested, pulled out of their cabs, handcuffed, and processed for deportation. This is the escalation we've been warning you about. This is no longer just a red state crackdown. This is a full-scale federal offensive against the ghost carriers operating out of the busiest ports in America. Now, in this video, we're going to break down every detail of this operation. We're going to talk about the Indio bottleneck and why the feds chose that specific spot to trap illegal drivers. We're going to look at the nationalities of the drivers arrested, including a massive number from India, and what that tells us about the visa loophole. And most importantly, we're going to talk about the political war between Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy and Governor Gavin Newsom, and why your freight rates out of Los Angeles are about to explode. Welcome back to the channel. I'm Marcellus with Trucking with MBR. Now, if you run freight on the West Coast, you know it's a different world. For years, California has operated under its own set of rules. While other states were cracking down on illegal immigration, California declared itself a sanctuary. They passed laws that stopped local police from working with ICE. They issued CDLs to drivers regardless of their immigration status. And because of that, California became the safe haven for the ghost carriers. If you couldn't get a license in Texas, you moved to Fontana. If you got shut down in Florida, you moved to Ontario. But the sanctuary shield just cracked. According to a bombshell report from the Sacramento Bee and CDL Life, federal agents executed a two-pronged attack over the last few weeks. Let's look at exactly how they did this, because it was a military-style operation. They didn't just wander around truck stops. They set up traps. Trap number one, the Indio choke point. Between November 23rd and December 12th, Border Patrol agents set up operations on Highway 86 and Highway 111 near Indio. If you drive in Southern California, you know these roads. This is the back door out of the Imperial Valley. This is how freight moves north from the Mexican border. They arrested 42 commercial drivers right there on the highway. They checked their immigration status, they checked their CDLs, and if they didn't match, game over. Trap 2, the Inland Empire Sweep. Then on December 10th and 11th, Homeland Security Investigations, the HSI, launched the main event, Operation Highway Centennial. They went into Ontario and Fontana. This is the heart of the beast. If you look at a map of trucking warehouses in America, Fontana is ground zero. In just 2 days, they arrested another 45 drivers. These weren't random traffic stops. These were targeted enforcement actions against specific carriers that the feds suspected of employing illegal labor. Now, we have to talk about who was arrested. And this is where the data gets very specific. The report states that out of the 42 drivers arrested in the Indio sector, 30 of them were from India, 2 were from El Salvador, and the rest were from countries like Russia, Ukraine, and Mexico. Why is the India number so high? Because we have been telling you about the visa mills. We have been telling you about the networks that bring young men over on student visas or tourist visas and immediately put them in a truck. They don't speak the language, they don't know the laws, but they have a cousin who owns a fleet in Fontana, so they get a job. And here's the smoking gun regarding the DMV. Of the drivers arrested in Indio, 31 of them held California CDLs. Let that sink in. 31 illegal aliens who were deported by the federal government were holding valid commercial driver license issued by the state of California. This proves exactly what Sean Duffy has been saying. The California DMV has been handing out CDLs like candy without properly vetting the immigration status of the applicants. This brings us to the war of the states. You have to understand the politics here to understand where this is going. Governor Gavin Newsom has spent years protecting these drivers. He calls it protecting the workforce. He said these drivers are essential to the economy. But Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy isn't buying it. In his view, and in the view of the FMCSA, these drivers are a safety hazard. Duffy has gone on record saying that California is slow walking the enforcement of federal laws. He has accused the state of knowingly issuing licenses to dangerous foreign drivers. And now he is bringing out the big guns. Reports indicate that Duffy is threatening to withhold federal highway funds from California if they don't scrub their DMV database. We are talking about millions of dollars in infrastructure money. Duffy's message is clear. If you want federal money to pave your roads, you have to follow federal laws on who drives on them. This raid, Operation Highway Sentinel, was the warning shot. It was the Fed saying, we don't need your permission. We will come into your state, we will go onto your highways, and we will arrest these drivers ourselves. So what does this mean for your wallet? If you are a legitimate legal carrier running out of Los Angeles, this is the best news you have heard in 10 years. Think about the volume of freight that moves out of Ontario and Fontana. It is massive. And for the last 3 years, that market has been saturated with ghost capacity. Rates out of LA dropped to $1.50 a mile because there were too many trucks. But now, 87 drivers disappeared in a week. And just like in Mississippi, the fear factor is going to park thousands more. If you are an illegal driver in Fontana right now, are you going to get in your truck today? Knowing that HSI is setting up checkpoints? Knowing that they are raiding warehouses? No, you're going to stay home. That means capacity in Southern California is about to tighten rapidly. We saw what happened in the South. Tender rejections went up, rates went up. The same thing is about to happen in the West. Shippers in the Inland Empire are going to be scrambling. They're going to call their cheap carrier and get no answer. And when they call you, the price just went up. I want to take a minute to explain why the sanctuary state laws didn't protect these guys. This is a major misconception in the trucking community. People think, oh, California police can't arrest me for immigration. That is true. The Fontana police might not arrest you for it, but Operation Highway Sentinel wasn't the Fontana police. It was HSI, Homeland Security Investigations and Border Patrol. Federal agents have jurisdiction everywhere. They don't care about state laws. They don't care about the governor's executive orders. In fact, the article mentions that ICE is stepping in where the state failed. They are specifically targeting these areas because the state won't do it. So if you're operating under the assumption that California is a safe zone, you are dead wrong. The feds have designated it a target zone. We also have to remember the catalyst for this. Why is the government going so hard right now? It goes back to the tragedies we've covered. The report specifically mentions that this operation was launched in response to multiple deadly motor vehicle accidents caused by illegal alien truck drivers. They mentioned the case of Jasonpreet Singh. He was an Indian national, entered illegally, got a California CDL, and then killed 3 people in a crash in Ontario. When things like that happen, the public demands action. The government cannot ignore it. Secretary Duffy is using these accidents as the justification for the crackdown. He is saying this isn't just about immigration. This is about keeping families safe from unqualified drivers. And looking at the wreckage on I-10, it is hard to argue with him. So how do you navigate this war zone? Strategy 1, paperwork is power. If you are running into California right now, your paperwork needs to be bulletproof. If you get stopped at a federal checkpoint like the one in Indio, they're going to scrutinize everything. Make sure your medical card is current. Make sure your CDL is valid. Make sure your logbook is perfect. Do not give them a reason to dig deeper. Strategy 2, rate negotiation. If you're booking a load out of Ontario or Fontana this week, raise your rate. Tell the broker, I know capacity is tight because of the raids. My truck is legal. My driver is a citizen and the load will get there. That costs extra. Use the news to your advantage. Shippers are nervous. They don't want their freight impounded. Sell them on your reliability. Strategy 3, watch the checkpoints. Be aware that these operations are mobile. They were in Indio. They were in Arturo. Next week, they could be in Stockton or Lathrop. Join the driver communities. Listen to the CB. If you hear about bears or feds working a coup, pay attention. Zooming out. This confirms that the era of enforcement is here to stay. We are watching a systematic dismantling of the ghost carrier network. The South closed. The East Coast, specifically New York, under audit. The West Coast, California, under federal raid. There is nowhere left to hide. For the compliant American owner-operator, this is the reset you have been praying for. The cheaters are being removed from the board. The sweatshops are being raided. The mills are being shut down. It is going to be a chaotic few months. We're going to see more arrests. We're going to see carriers go bankrupt. But on the other side of this, a market where rates are based on reality, not on exploitation. Now, I know some of you don't want to be anywhere near California right now. You don't want to deal with the checkpoints. You don't want to deal with the traffic. You don't want to be caught in the crossfire of this political war. If that's you, it's time to look at Final Mile. Now, Final Mile isn't about crossing state lines or dodging federal checkpoints. It's about local delivery. It's about working with companies like T-Force, SEVA, JB Hunt, XPO. It's about stability. I have compiled the Final Mile Contract Plug Pack. This is your exit strategy from the OTR chaos. These are legitimate contracts that pay well and keep you close to home. If you are tired of the war of the states, click the link in the description below. I want to know what you think about this California situation. Do you support the feds coming in and bypassing the governor? Or do you think this is government outreach? And if you run out of Fontana, what are you seeing on the ground? Are the yards empty? Let me know in the comments. Make sure you smash that like button to support the channel. Subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the next breaking update. And I'll see you on the next video. Also, check out the video below where I talk about the lease trap, why so many truckers never make real money. On this video, I talk about how most drivers jump into the lease program thinking it's the fastest way to become an owner-operator, but quickly realize they walked into a financial trap that's almost impossible to escape.